Good afternoon, everybody. This is our mic check. If you can see us, if you can hear us, give us a thumbs up so that you'll know everything. We will know everything is working properly. We will begin today's COVID-19 update at 3 o'clock, and it will be followed immediately by our Tuesday town hall.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good day today. Really hot outside, I know that, but I do want to mention before I go into my notes here, Alex and I and several of the city police and also the sheriff, we just got back from over at Integer, and they have actually manufactured and donated a couple of thousand of these shields, face shields for our EMS people and emergency workers and all. Our fire people, so we really want to. We do appreciate that. It's amazing the quality they put into these, but they donated them to us, and we do appreciate it so much to them. They give a lot back to our community in many ways, but this is just one way that they've given back to this COVID-19. But we do appreciate all the people over at Integer. Real quick, the Cloudland Canyon. Out of Cloudland Canyon, that issue in the last few weekends, the last couple of weekends, has really went pretty smooth. They have had to cut the 150 cars off, a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, but it seems to kind of be working itself out. And although, like I said yesterday, there's still a lot of people coming, and that's good, but they do have that seem to have that under control. Real quick, the Daniels Road Bridge. I want to mention that because there's still people. I noticed this morning. Was forgetting, and they were going up, turn around, and that bridge is closed. It will be reopened around July the 15th. Also, I want to give you a little update. I didn't mention this yesterday on the nursing home. I did get a message from them just a little while ago, about 15-20 minutes ago, and they did get some of the test results back, all the test results back on all the staff, the nurses and all that work out there. Everything came back 100% negative, so that's great. And we should have a report from them tomorrow on all those patients because they did test everyone in the whole building, from maintenance all the way up. And so we'll know more about that. That's really good news. After getting a report that we got in the week before last, of some positive cases there. So right now, that's really good news from out there. There's negative reports. I do want to mention too that I think I mentioned this yesterday. I'm not sure, but on our parks we do. The ball fields are still, we've got them shut down to full field because of some of the damage that we were trying to get back and get repaired from the tornado damage back a few weeks ago. But we do have the basketball and tennis courts. We did open the gates on them Monday evening. Stacy did, and so people can go out and enjoy that anyway. But still, try to try to, practice your social distancing while you're down there. I mean, still, because as you'll see when I read our numbers, this thing's we're still here. I mean, we're right in the middle of it, so just be careful. And but you need to get out and enjoy yourself. But still, use common sense down there when you're at the park. Our testing, our COVID testing is still going on down at the health department. As I mentioned that every time here, because there's still a lot of people out there I know that want to get tested that haven't been tested. It's real simple. It don't cost you anything at all. You stay in your car. You pull around. The hours are really good, flexible. Monday through Thursday, 1 to 4. Friday, 9 to 1. And even on Saturday morning, get up early Saturday morning, run down there. And there's very few times you'll go that you'll get, in any type of line. So they move them real quickly. And that is the swab test now. It's not the blood draw. If you prefer to have a blood draw, that is loss of medical. There is a charge for that. It's $25 plus a lab fee. Now they're on the square. They're right over from the coffee shop there. It's a number there, 706-657-3200. They have really good hours too to make it convenient for you. Monday through Thursday, they're open from 5 o'clock in the evening to 9 o'clock at night. Saturday and Sunday, they're open from 8 till 6. So all day, you can go in and if you work during the week or whatever, you don't have any excuse for not getting tested there. The Lafayette Ready Clinic, I'm not sure what their hours are, but Carey has all this online. But they do the blood draw also, and they charge just a flat $40 fee, from what I understand. And they're 706-620-0200, and that is for the blood. They do the blood draw. Walker County at the Civic Center over there, their health department or similar. They're doing similar to ours, except I'm not sure what their hours are. True, I think they're 5 days a week, and they may still be doing it on Saturday. But that's at the Walker County Civic Center, and that is the health department, state health department. It's 706-375-7705. There's no charge for that one, and it is a swab test also. Carey will be on here in just a minute to talk to you a little bit about the elections, what's going on there. And also remember, when we're finished here, we'll be going into a town hall Tuesday meeting here, and we've got some pretty interesting people here who want to share some information with you. Move into our numbers here. As I mentioned a while ago, we have increased in numbers in Dade County. We went from 29 to 36. It's up 7 from yesterday, and we said a few weeks back, to expect, increased numbers, mainly because there's more testing going on throughout all of Georgia, and of course Dade County, because here we're testing 6 days a week here, and so Walker County, they went up 16. They went from 152 to 168, and now you got to remember in ours and Walker's too, we have 11 antibody tests there that need to really be taken out of there. The state will not right now at this time deduct that. And in that number, even after you take the 11 away from it, we feel that probably over half those people are already, back on the street, already went through their 14-day, and possibly, even more than that are back to work, So Walker County, they have 44 antibody tests that you can take away from that 168. And then possibly half of those people are already back to work or back in their everyday life. Catoosa County, they went from 135 to 140. They have 23 antibody tests that can be taken away from that. Chattooga County, they stayed the same at 24. Whitfield County, they went from 382 to 391. Gordon County, they went from 163 to 164. Floyd County, they went from 266 to 268. Bartow County went from 478 to 481. There's still 1,511 unknown counties there in the numbers total statewide that have not been, that's address has not been attached to a county. Statewide deaths, we're at 2,089. That's up from 2,074 as of yesterday. Total cases, confirmed cases in Georgia as we speak, there's 47,899 confirmed cases in the state of Georgia. That's up from 47,618 as of yesterday. Now that's those numbers are from the beginning, so it's not like a lot of those people right there are already back, recovered, but we don't have those numbers from Georgia. Now in Tennessee, which, as you've noticed in the past few weeks, they do give recovery numbers, and that's good because you can do some comparisons there. But in Hamilton County, they went from 813 to 872, and the day before yesterday, they had a big jump. So you can see why, that they're saying that actually Chattanooga and that area right there it's kind of turned into be a hot spot, and they're our neighbors. So that's why I keep saying this. We are really close to a hot spot. I mean, these numbers are escalating, and but they do have 278 people that have recovered out of those numbers, and 15 deceased. Marion County, they went from 31 to 42. They have 1 deceased. Grundy County, 26 to 31. They have 6 recovered and 1 deceased. Sequatchie County, they went from 15 to 18. They have 12 recovered. Meigs County, they went from 26. They stayed 26. Have 21 recovered. Bradley County, they went from 129 to 146. They have 99 recovered with 1 deceased. Totally in Tennessee, they have 367 deaths, up from 364 yesterday. And so that is 367 deaths compared to our 2,089 deaths in the state of Georgia. Quite a bit of difference. Moving to Alabama, right now totally Alabama has 18,354 confirmed cases. That's up from 18,020 yesterday. That's a pretty good incline there. That's statewide now. Jackson County, they went from 82 to 78. DeKalb County, they went from 248 to 254. So the numbers are still, especially close to us here, they're really, they've changed. In Hampton County, as I said, that's where, most people go. They go and come, go to work or whatever. And, so, and when we start, we do start back playing ball, and all of our ball teams get back, going, whether it's soccer or, be aware, when because you'll be traveling, you'll be going into these counties, our county, and so just try not to let your guard down. Remember, to try to do your social distancing. All your team players and parents, try to listen to your coaches, because they'll be they're doing a lot of research on this of what they can do, and just try to but try to have a good time, but do social distance. That's pretty much all I've got. Carey, you want to come on and talk a little bit about the elections, and then we'll move into the
So elections did ask me to talk to you guys a little bit about early voting, and here are some of the most important reminders that they want you to have. So the last day of early voting in the Trenton Administration Building is Friday, June the 5th from 8 to 2. So Friday, county offices close at 2 o'clock p.m. So voting is from 8 until 2. Early voting, the last day is this Friday. On June the 9th, voters must vote in the precinct in which they are registered. Polls will be open from 7 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. So if you're in line by 7 o'clock p.m., you will be allowed to vote. This is extremely important. If you requested an absentee ballot but decided to vote in person instead, you must surrender the absentee ballot at the time you vote in person. So it's not the request for the absentee ballot, it's the actual absentee ballot itself that you have to bring in with you to be able to vote in person. A picture ID must be presented at the precinct polling place. And clothing items including headwear with a candidate's name or slogan cannot be worn within 150 feet of a polling place. Campaigning is not allowed within 150 feet of the polling place. And then another important reminder about absentee ballots is they said go ahead and please send those in. If you are planning to vote by absentee ballot, please go ahead and send those in because they have to be received by Election Day, which is next Tuesday, June the 9th, in order to be counted. So if you mail that in too late, they don't get it by Election Day, your vote will not be counted. So currently, we've had 1,000 people vote by mail. We've had about 725 people vote in person. So that's nearly 1,800 people. But this is a figure that I was not aware of, so I asked them to look it up yesterday. There are nearly 9,000 registered voters in Dade County. So if you haven't voted yet, please vote. we have information on our website that you can use to find out more. We also have a link to the Secretary of State's website. You can type in your address and it will show you your actual ballots. So if you have questions about those ballots, go on our website at www.dadecounty-ga.gov. You'll see on the main page, if you'll scroll down a little bit, you'll see a little graphic that says Vote 2020. So click on that and it will tell you all the precincts. It'll let you go to the Secretary of State's website. It will answer your questions about absentee ballots, or if you just want to call the elections office with your questions, we have their number on there, or you can call them at 706-657-8170. I had to stop and remember that. So this is a very exciting time. Please, please get out and vote. So next we're going to go into our Tuesday Town Hall. We have with us today Alex Case, who's the Trenton City Mayor, Russanna Jenkins, who is the clerk for the City of Trenton, and Rebecca Jones, who is the deputy clerk for Dade County. So they're going to be talking to us a little bit today.
Turn that on. Just sit. All right. Welcome, everyone. Again, I'm Alex Case. I'm the mayor for the City of Trenton. I'm also work for Dade County as the Director of Emergency Services, and which encompasses Dade 911 system. Dade County Emergency Services is Dade 911, Dade Emergency Management, and Dade EMS, and then me and myself and Assistant Director of 911 and one of our supervisors, we also work on the IT for the Dade County as well. And we're going to talk about some of those divisions, but as Carey introduced the two clerks here and deputy clerks, Russanna is a city clerk. She worked for the city of Rossville for 19 years prior to coming to Dade County almost a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And she's a life resident of Dade County, born and raised, went to school, family's here. Same thing with Rebecca Jones. You may know her. Her family is Larry and Janet Yorks of Larry's Restaurant. And Rebecca's been doing, she is a CPA. She was on my first year in 2005 when I started for Dade County. She was working for the audit firm and done the 911 audit with me. That's when I met her. And these ladies are really smart at what they do and keep people like me in line very well. They know our numbers, and again, we want to, Don, our county clerk, cannot be here due to some health issues with his wife. Our thoughts and prayers are with Don and Lisa. A lot of folks know what's going on there, so if you take a few minutes, tell them we're thinking of them, praying for them, it'll really help keep their spirits up. So the next smartest are these two ladies right here. So again, ladies, we're just going to be formal, and the thing is, we're giving information about Splosh. We're not promoting yes or no. We're promoting what we have done with it in the last, since it's been in here, what it does. And as for budget reasons, as y'all crunch numbers, y'all know how very important it does to continue growing the city and county and replacing assets as they wear out. One of the questions I have got about, and I want to explain a little bit more, and y'all can both take time, but one of the 1 cent tax we have is lost, local option sales tax. And it goes and shows how it helps keep property millage rate down. And that is something from our county budget that we budget, and city budget, we budget that in every year to help keep millage down. And how's that all tax come in month to month, and how we rely on that to keep our millage and our budget going with that.
Well, the city uses that, and that money can go into general fund, which means that it can go for maintenance and operation, can go for salaries. We budget approximately $35,000 a month that goes into general fund. We get that monthly into the bank from our lost money. And that is money that doesn't have to come from property taxes. So that saves you That saves the millage rate from going up quite a bit at the end of the year.
And our county, I'm looking at our 2020 budget, Rebecca, this current budget, we had 2.24 million of
Yeah.
lost funds.
This current month, what just came in at the end of May, I think it was 160 for lost is
Yeah.
what came in for May, which would have been what's collected 2 months prior.
Yeah. When we see the numbers, when they're automatically deposited in both accounts each month. Ours was up this month when Russanna called me, and that is 2 months in arrears. So what we received was March lost revenue and also March splosh revenue
Yes.
as it comes in as well.
So that's the money that was collected at our local businesses, our restaurants, our grocery stores for the month of March.
Now,
So
tell them how that tax is collected countywide. Now, how is that distributed between the city and county?
oh, what is that?
It's distributed through our
20%, right?
lost agreement,
Yes.
and
Yep.
it's 16.9% is what the city gets.
Yep.
And that's based on population,
Yep.
is how they come to the 16.9%.
And the same thing with the splosh funds. When we propose the 2050 or 2021 to 2027 for 6 years, we do that same ratio and we do the percentage, and it's split the same way. And if that's a very important part of our budget. When we look at our budget, our revenues line items, when I say line items, how many different revenues we have inside our cities and counties outweighs the line items of departments, because we have, I don't know, how many revenue sources are in the county, Rebecca, that you have on this spreadsheet?
Oh gosh, what is it? Probably 40?
40 or 50
Yeah.
plus, and we're pretty close to that in the city of, between all the fees, 911 surcharges, which makes up each individual budget that we
And
balance.
grants that we get,
Yep.
because we do get grants. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of those grants, talking to them, we've been very gracious and work with, from our disasters, and I hate when disasters happen, but they also give us a time to mitigate these disasters. And some of the things that has helped us is being able to use splosh and or general fund with these grants, but get 85% reimbursed, and then we pay the 15% out of the splosh. We done the generators for the water authority and the sewer department, which was like 1.3 million. So we paid 15% of that. The county paid its 15%. The county paid its 15%, and we put that to the water authority to make sure we had water. Because in 2011, with the massive tornadoes, we had 6-7 days with no water or sewer and power. So that was a resource that we tried to work on, and that was one thing that it done to help us. We've also done the outdoor warning sirens, been in the same boat. And we're also up for another grant that we're working on proposals, is to do the community-wide storm shelters throughout. And we've been approved for 3 of those, and we're contingent for a 4th. And if we had that splosh would also help with that. But if you ladies were crunching numbers for the budgets that all these departments brought in, and knowing what we had to do and what we do with splosh, how hard would it be to get the things you see every year that we got to replace through emergency services, road departments, paving, that the general 100 fund would be tough, wouldn't it?
It would be a nightmare.
It's not possible
not,
at
it
the
isn't.
county with the budget we have. If we did not have SPLOST, we would not be able to fund the
city
projects that
wouldn't.
we do, the
Yeah.
roads that we pave, no.
Anything citywide that you see that is not a salary, gas to go in the vehicles,
General maintenance.
general maintenance, the power bill, water bill was paid for with SPLOST dollars.
And
I mean,
ma-
that's just basically how our budget operates.
So and this questions come up too, and based on our ruling that ACCG and GMA and the pamphlet we went through, the 6th edition, if right now our splosh is gonna exceed in around June or July of 2021. If it does not make it on this vote, how long do we have to wait to bring it back up for the voters to go up and vote on that again?
You have to wait 1 year, and then it would be the next month. So this election is June the 9th. You cannot put it on the ballot until July of 2021.
And what would we would have to budget for a special election, which also would come out of some of the SPLOST fundings to do that. And the elections, and that's something I think this year's budget with the presidential, our state and our county, one of our bigger offices, that it's very expensive to hold elections. And we budgeted, I'm not sure how many was in this current budget for the elections, but it was several because of possible runoffs and anything special. So it can't be thrown back on in November and be voted on again. We have to wait till another year, which means you would stop SPLOST. It would go back to 1 cent less. If it passed again, you would have to wait 6 or 7 months and go back on and put that 1 cent so and you would go 6 to 8 months without funding for certain things like that.
You also run into a lot of problems with retailers who don't know that they're supposed to put it back on.
Yep.
So, somebody will have to go out and make sure that all the businesses are correct with what they're charging.
And I know when questions come up and divisions come in, a lot of people come and talk to Don and all of y'all, both of y'all, and when things are coming in. But we have a basic guideline that we are allowed what can and cannot be done with SPLOST based on the line items that are proposed divisions inside the vote. That it's hard to, and it was for me as a department head to plan. I know what things in the next 6 years from starting 21, what needs to be replaced. So it's very hard to get a rough number and then punch those. How much is it going to increase? Or what's the going to be in 6 or 7 years? So I've leaned on y'all quite a bit as well to that too to help figure that out. And I know that we all worked on this tremendously, but again, these ladies and the clerks, the deputy clerks, and what they do and helping us, and we have to keep the number, and that's our goal, is to keep the budget as low as it can, the millage as low as it can. But if I was having to ask the commission or a department was asking the city that we didn't have a special proposed local option sales for a vehicle or IT infrastructure when things are changing, we would have to wait to build it in the next budget and buy it in the next fiscal year, or look into pushing in reserves if we didn't have it in the general fund. So if we had a major break and it was something that SPLOST couldn't be as a new piece of equipment to be replaced, we would have to find something to either cut a budget, lay somebody off, or not do something. That's what scares me about it, because when I look at my 4 divisions of county budget and everything in the city budget, I see what Russanna mentioned: maintenance and operation, people, insurance, bills, utility bills, and repair and maintenance of what we do now. But nothing capital expenditures or improvements for paving roads. We just got 2 new police vehicles in the city. I think with that, striping, lights was around 98,000. We were reaching the mileage mark that our GMA insurance requires us, and that was something that the sheriff and Cindy both, or Christy both, had talked about. There's just restrictions that we have to meet based on GMA and ACCG and I think GERMA insurance that allows us for that.
One time a year we have a safety man come by from the insurance company, and he will come through and look at all of our, and the county does as well.
Same guy, I believe.
Yes.
He'll look at all of our equipment, he looks at all of our files to make sure that everything is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And we don't get the luxury of, at home, if you want to make that vehicle stretch out another 100,000 miles, then you can. But the insurance company says, we're not going to cover that if it has this many miles on it. So a lot of the things that we have to go by are not by our choice. They're by the state law says you have to do this.
And when y'all are helping us maintain that budget and keep everything's line in Judge Ledgers, when there ain't money, there's a time to stop. And there would be times like that. And the big stop signs come up, and Russanna has told me that, I tell you, there's, and that's what y'all's jobs are as your clerks. And that's, we're looking ahead. We know when the lean months come into the county and city, which are now in the summertime, and then when fall picks up, once budget and budget is set, or budget and millage is set, that, you know, we've got to know when things happen. And if we didn't have some of these things, it would be very tough. Is there anything else y'all can think about that explaining what that loss does? I think everybody understands that it goes right back into both general and city general funds and help us keep the millage down, and SPLOSH goes more into the assets and new equipment, replacing old obsolete, and we've got a lot of...
SPLOSH has to go for capital outlay projects.
Yeah.
It can't be it can't pay salaries, it can't pay maintenance and operation. It has to go for capital projects.
And everything that y'all seen come up and when it's proposed and brought in, we have stayed in that guideline within the proposed project list. Or, you know, it's very wide range. That's what a lot of people think, that it's wide range, but it's hard to say what would happen in that time.
Well, who knows what's gonna happen in 6 years
Right.
too? I mean, you know, are you gonna have 0 tornadoes, or are you gonna have 4? You don't know. So that's one reason it is so wide, to let, a little room for that, because we don't know what's gonna happen.
And you were mentioning the grants, Rebecca. We both receive LMIG, and that local, I can't remember the acronym for it, but it's local maintenance agreements that helps with the roads that the state gives each city and county. And we have to match that 30%. And we're always been doing that under like county roads and bridges for the new proposed 21 project is 1.5 million. And with that 70% that's given, and we match, sometimes if they give us that, we may either do that as double or more depending on what
Yeah,
funds.
I will say we do cover more in SPLOSH
Yeah.
for roads and bridges than the 30% of that. A good bit of our SPLOSH goes to roads.
And I know me, as one of my departments, and some of mine are big, there's been big expenditures in E911 for upgrades and IT, but I usually come and talk to you and Don, and I have to Russanna and said, hey, this is some projects that's coming up. When do you think we can? And we're watching as money comes in. We look at the checking account. We know what's coming in. Y'all know what bond payments are due and when that is, and that's something y'all done for every department. As things are not just going out there for wish list, it's things that we look and see when the money's there. If it's good, hey, you can buy this little bit about here, this one can buy a little bit here, when it's approved by the commission and all. And that's something y'all are very good with your sticks to whip everybody back in line and make sure we're following that line. I really do appreciate it. I wanted the information to be out of what y'all do as clerks, and it's a blessing to have Rebecca as a CPA and knowing where we got to do. And a lot of that work that you take care of way ahead of time before our audits get here, you've done a bunch of that.
Yeah.
So you really, both of you are really amazing at what you do, and I appreciate what you do. And so if you see these ladies out, folks, just tell them thank you for their job and what they do. And I wanted to talk a little bit about emergency services because, you know, some of our jobs, as you've seen, the Sheriff Cross and Chief Smith, they're 24/7 operation. We have 3 of our divisions that's 24/7, and what I'm currently the director of when I work for the county. Dade County E911 has 10 dispatchers, and these folks work 24/7. We have them divided on 12-hour shifts, and there were several big upgrades we done in it, meaning the big computer-aided dispatch system that tells when you physically dial 911. It gives us a location, where you're going, which fire department and EMS to send. It keeps up with timestamps. It also allows us to run the criminal information or tag information. It all starts when you dial 911 and it's answered. Now there's a couple other divisions inside that, but we've also have our cell phones that we have rings into, and the 911 lines ring into a special phone system. Now it's also something that needs to be replaced that we're looking at for either in this next proposal, or if it's available in this current one that I proposed in the current SPLOSH. But it's almost 18 years old, the current phone system. But the 911 system, a lot of things that happened in it back in the fall of last year, I presented to the commission. We were under some restrictions from Microsoft software, where current visions of Windows 7 operation were going to be obsolete by January of 2020, around 14th or 15th of 2020. And we had slowly been replacing things as we did that, but we also had server issues that were coming up. Server 2008 was going to be going. That's what our current servers were running on for 911, the sheriff's office, the corrections side. We have a package that does everything from 911 out to the sheriff's office for their reports, for if they get arrested or booked in our jail. It's one big piece of software that does several divisions, even to the volunteer fire departments for fire and EMS. They can even see this out in their cars, so when they are dispatched to the call, it shows them where it is, how to get there. It tells us where the closest patrol unit is and EMS unit to get that person to that call the quickest. And I know when we were proposing for the 21 to 27, that will have to be replaced again. Because we're going to run into hardware issues that go too long. We run this last server nearly 8 years. The same thing for the county IT division. So that includes all divisions of the county, down at the senior building, our shop, our transfer station, all the buildings, Dade County Sheriff's Office, the courts facility for probate, magistrate, all those divisions. We have a ton of IT involvement, and we also have the security that we have to keep up with now. We do have a consultant that works with us yearly and daily that helps us engineer what switches and firewalls and things that are, all of our email is pre-screened outside for antivirus. We have so much things. We also have a redundancy backup system that is in a non-disclosed location in this county, that if we were to take a tornado hit or a building catch a fire, like our administration building or something, that we still have got to pay bills, pay people, do things, but we can get going again from a backup location, that we have that, and that costs efforts, and we just replaced that a few years ago. That's also one of the things in the IT division that we proposed in the 2021 splosh, that we know that Microsoft server licensing are going to expire, or they're not going to support our 2016 or 2019 that we're currently on, and it may be the next version. So that's one of the big visions, or not visions, or the divisions that I deal with between 911, because it's got IT and computers, and then the whole county infrastructure, all the laptops, all the computers that myself, Daniel Jones, I have Thomas Lyons is starting to help us. He's one of our supervisors. And then we have a consultant team that comes in and helps us when we need them. The next thing is emergency management. Each state, there's FEMA, which is a federal emergency management, then each state has their Georgia emergency management, then each county has their local emergency management. We have to have mitigation plans and operations. And a lot of the things that we've done is that we mitigate for loss of power, which we did when we mitigated and put generators in. We don't have any storm shelters, and we're mitigating that now with a grant that we applied for and won. It took nearly 3.5 years. But now we've been awarded, and we're working on that to meet the federal procurement process, and SPLOSH will help pay for that, and then be refunded 85% back each time we submit invoices in. And we've also put in outdoor warning sirens. Again, this is from storms. We looked under that, and it applied for that, and we get the money back to fund, but we have to put 15% in. Kind of like the paving. Have to match it with 30, but we're doing it a little less. So emergency management, we do get grants to help operate emergency management, but we also put general fund in it as well to help with that. The next one is our ambulance service. We do contract out with Puckett Priority Ambulance, but we also, and that's in our general fund, that we build that in every year, but we also own 2 ambulances by Dade County Emergency Services. They're one of them is a Ford 450 four-wheel drive. It was bought in 2011. We have a 2013 F-350 four-wheel drive, and part of our contract is provide a ambulance, and part of our contract as an ambulance running 24/7. So again, those things break sometimes, and a couple Sundays ago, we had a flat tire on one in Chattanooga. So they limp it back, swap trucks. We always have to have that truck available. So, but there's also times that, and those vehicles have been purchased with splashed. A lot of the equipment inside of them, our stretchers were wearing out inside, and we couldn't get parts for them anymore. So we bought new stretchers, which hydraulicked up and down and actually lifted them in and slides them in, which saves on the backs of the employees. But even times with our contract service of ambulance service, they run out of ambulances between Dade, Walker, Catoosa, Chattanooga, and Marion. There's days we sit here in a few minutes, within 6 minutes of a medical call. If we do not have an ambulance moving to Dade County, radio to Dade 911, we page what we call Dade County Station 9 or Dade County EMS. Is we page our paramedics and EMTs that are part-time employees of Dade County, and we say, we need you to be on standby, we have no trucks available. People call in or radio in, and they come to what we call Station 9, where the second truck is sitting. We also have a car that was given to us several years ago by the Dade County Sheriff's Office, and just this year the city of Trenton donated one of the patrol units that we took out of service for pursuit rates, and we was able to move it over into a all-wheel drive Ford Explorer that is what we call a licensed first responder vehicle, so that we can, at least if we don't have enough, you have to have 2 people in an ambulance to go. But if I only got 1 paramedic, they can get in that car or four-wheel drive Explorer and go to take care of somebody, and we can provide just as much care, and we're licensed and have a medical director that does that and helps with these people to take care of that need. So that's some of the divisions, and I'm a very small part of that. There's great chiefs and assistants and people, and I'm just blessed to be. I think some questions is that some of these jobs, when I started in 05, it was just 911 and emergency management. And then in 08, when Hutchinson closed its ambulance doors, we had to get into part to get our zone of Dade County to make sure what provider would be in our ambulance, and it was best for the county to have that medical zone, and part of that we had to have an ambulance. So no matter who our provider is, we want to make sure that our taxpayers and our visitors got coverage at some time, and that's one of the reasons why we have Dade EMS to make sure that when somebody has that need, we can get there to take care of them. And again, these folks can be on call, not on call, they're volunteering, and we could page them at any day or time of the night. But that is what Splost has done. The last 2 Splosh that I have been involved in since 05, almost 3, that's what it has done to improve the departments that I've worked in. As I said before, I would hate to go, and like we're right in our budget for the county. We got our first hearings our public hearings coming up, and we've been going over those numbers. I would hate to have to put some of those line items in my general fund budget, knowing what would happen.
That's one thing I did want to say when you said earlier, like loss directly impacts property taxes, helps them stay lower. SPLOST indirectly does that.
Yeah.
Because if we did not have SPLOST, we don't have that room in the general fund. It's not just sitting there to be able to buy these police cars or the fire equipment or the fire engines, or like you said, new computers, or when things. So we would have to find ways to fit those into the general fund, because it's not. I think we had that question a while back. Well,
yeah.
Why can't we just pay for this stuff out of the general fund?
Mm-hmm.
Because the funds aren't there in the general fund. That's what SPLOST is for.
And this is something in the way that our software works. The county software is that we project that so much a month is where we should be, and y'all give us a percentage that we get every month. It's a month in the rear that y'all present to the commission meeting, and when y'all give them us to our department heads, we're looking at those percentages. And when we start seeing some that's going over, then we gotta find out what's going on and why. And sometimes we can't help that.
Yeah.
One of the things that hit us this weekend, we had a tremendous, some type of power surge in what we call our sheriff server room, and we lost 3 UPSs and a big multi-switch. Well, I ordered and replaced it and got it coming Monday, and it was almost $2,900 to get that stuff replaced. So that has to come out of our M&O because of that, but that was something that we had no idea. And it was, we pulled the numbers on it, and the UPS was 6 years old, and we replaced the batteries in it once. But it's just failed, and that's where some of our servers were. And that's hard when I gotta come to you or Don and say, hey, we've had a pretty good break. I need to, what we're gonna do here. And so that's when y'all's guide and y'all's moving for that is. Same thing with Russanna. If we have something in the city, we don't know sometimes. That was all day Sunday that Daniel worked on that issue as I was somewhere else doing something, baling hay. I was helping my dad bale hay, but we just never know, and that's some of the things that we lean on as a group. I think everybody's a great team player, and I'm just blessed to be with people and know that I can lean on folks like that. So
I think it's also important to note, we talk about SPLOST and we say it covers capital expenditures or capital outlay, that's not just big buildings that we see. It's small things like fire trucks. I mean, that's not that small, but police cars or the whole equipment that the fighters wear. It's not just, I think some people might think it's just a building, but it's not.
It's the radios.
It's radios that they use.
The extrication equipment. I mean, even hardware and software. When we buy a computer, we buy a physical box, but there's software inside of that because it's new that can be bought. One of the things when we build a system just to get Microsoft Office, our Outlook, our Word, and Excel, our government price through GA is $250 per license for every computer that we touch. Now, a lot of the versions we've been replacing is 13 and 2010. Like everything we replaced in 911 was 2010, so that was almost 10 years old software that we were running. But we had 6 computers, and that was $250 times 6. Then the price of the computer times 6, and things like that. That's what that goes for. Like you said, little items.
It can be small things. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And those small things add up if you have to put them in your general budget.
Yeah, they do.
Especially in mass numbers.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, I really appreciate it. And I really do appreciate your time. If there's anything else, do we have any questions, Carey? Well, folks, as Carey mentioned, again, we're early voting at the Trenton Dade County Administration Building at 71 Case Avenue. I hope this information helps you. Again, this is what it has done for us, and we feel that it's a good thing to keep continuing. Just wanted to explain loss tax a little bit more and how we push that into the regular budgets of the city and county each year to help keep the millage down, and how we look at different divisions between a whole county, a whole city, and then some of the individual departments as well. Want to appreciate all the ones that come on here and do that. If you have any questions, please get with us. Call it in or info@dadecounty-ga.gov. You can contact Trenton City Hall at 706-657-4167. Again, please get out and vote. You need those numbers. We got a lot of voters, and please come out and see it, and we'll see you, I guess, not town hall, but COVID update will be tomorrow at 3. Thank you, everyone, for your time.